powerful enough to do that. That would be an attack on the temple in some way, attack on the impurity of the temple. John says, zeal for my Father's house consumes me. Portrays Jesus as a kind of zealot. Zeal is the key phrase for zealotry. Okay, so I was talking about Christians in the imperial household. So I said I said about Josephus and so on, so we got on all those topics. But Josephus met Poppaea. Poppaea, he says, was interested in religious causes. After he left, went away with gifts, she says she treated him very well. What year would this be about? Oh my God, it's hard to, I can never get the dates of these things straight, but somewhere in the mid to late 50s. I think he was 26 years old, so it could be around 54, 55 maybe, AD. Shortly thereafter, or no, I think it was later than that. I think it was in the 60s. Anyway, I've always got my dates on this particular thing wrong. You can check it up better than me. 30, no, actually it would be in the early 60s because he was born in 38, so 26, then about 64, yeah, 64, right before the war against Rome, yeah, that's more like it, 63, 64, somewhere in there. Anyway, Poppaea is apparently pregnant at some point right after that. I mean, you could even say that Josephus had something to do with that, yeah. He seems quite pleased with himself, like a popinjay of some kind. I think he definitely entered Roman service at that point. He made the contacts in Rome to enter Roman service. But anyway, I mean, because he does, though he's commander in Galilee, when he gets back, he very quickly knows people in the Roman camp who know him and whom he knows, so that when he decides not to commit suicide and draws the short straw and kills the others and then surrenders and proclaims Vespasian the Messiah, pretty quick activity, right? First he meets Poppaea, and then he proclaims Vespasian Messiah, all kinds of interesting things. Josephus is a really interesting character. He'd already laid the contacts, the groundwork for those contacts in his trip to Rome, I believe. He met a lot of interesting, important people. Okay, what about these Christians in the imperial household? Well, let's look at Paul here. In Thessalonians, see if I can find, not Thessalonians, Philippians. Look at Philippians a minute. Again, I'm getting the background here, but all this is interesting for you to evaluate stuff. Philippians, how many have read Philippians? Nobody. Okay. Well, let's see, it's good. It's good. It's a very short letter. You can read it in like 10 minutes. Paul is going on to writing to people at Philippi in Greece. Talks in 11 about the fruits of righteousness, Jesus Christ, living in Jesus Christ, and so on. Salvation for Christ's sake, that's chapter 1. And then he suddenly mentions in line 24 of chapter 2. So I hope to send him at once whenever I've seen how things go with me. But I trust in the Lord I also shall come shortly to Philippi, talking about Timothy and others going there. Yet I thought it needful to send you Epaphroditus, my brother and fellow worker and soldier. Use soldier imagery here. But for you, your messenger. But the actual word, if you look at the Greek there, is apostolon. That's why the Greek is always so interesting. Look at the actual Greek here. That's why I told you get a linear because you can see it in front of you. We say messenger, but you see it says apostolon. So Epaphroditus is his apostle and the minister to my need. So this Epaphroditus is really important in this letter, and this is considered to be a pretty important letter, an authentic letter. Look, chapter 3. Look out for dogs. scurrilous allusion there about dogs. Anyway, it goes on about being circumcised on the 8th day of the race of Israel. You see, he never mentions Jew here. He never mentions Judah, the tribe of Judah. He's a race of Israel, tribe of Benjamin. There are no Benjaminites left at this time. What does he mean by the tribe of Benjamin? Why is he of the tribe of Benjamin? What's he implying there? How does he see himself? Well, who was the famous person in Jewish history who's of the tribe of Benjamin? 1,000 years before. 1,000 years before. No, maybe more than that. Maybe 1,100 years before. Jonathan is, yeah. And who else? Who's Jonathan's father?
Oh, David? No, Saul.
Saul. And what's Paul's name? Saul. Does he call himself of the tribe of Benjamin because he knows Saul was of the tribe of Benjamin? Is that why he's calling himself? I, Saul, of the tribe of Benjamin? Or is there really a tribe of Benjamin around at this time? Well, the Jews were using Benjamin to allude to converts often. And the Herodian family would have considered itself of the Benjamin tribe, as I go into very clearly in my book why that is. Hebrew of the Hebrews. Anyway, I don't want to go too deep of that. What is, you see, the Herodians were considered to be Edomites. What's the genealogy of the Edomites? The genealogy of the Edomites, they're from Esau. Who's Esau, son of Israel? Or probably he's the son of Isaac, rather, the brother of Jacob. And also, therefore, a descendant of Abraham. If you consider Abraham's descendants Hebrews, then he could easily consider himself as the Herodians could easily be making claims to being a Hebrew of the Hebrews, if you look at the ancient genealogies. But forget all of that. I don't want to get into that now. It goes on in this situation, and he ends up in chapter 4, the end. I can do all things through Christ, line 13, who strengthens me. But you, having fellowship with me in troubles, you know Philippians. That's in Macedonia, northern Greece. That in the beginning, when I came out of Macedonia, no church shared me as to going and receiving, but you only. Because even in Thessalonica, you sent both once and again and for my need. Now, not that I look for gifts, but I look to the fruit that multiplies the account. He likes